Welcome to today's webinar. We'll be running a live Q&A at the end of the webinar. If you have any questions, please feel free during the webinar to go ahead and add your questions in the chat, and we will answer them at the end of the webinar. And if you miss anything, don't worry. We'll be sending a recording of the webinar as soon as it's available. I'm Dr. Janet Six, Senior Product Manager here at Tom Sawyer Software. And in today's webinar, we're going to be introducing Tom Sawyer Explorations 1.3. We're going to be discussing annotations, which you can add to nodes, edges, or groups of nodes and edges in your graph, or to a project as a whole. And these annotations add categorization and also include color coding and filter capabilities. We will also discuss exploration support for the Kuzu graph database and the new schema tree view, as well as advanced node and edge styling. We also have improved circular layout in this release as well. And we will show multi-page printing so you can produce full-scale hard copies of complex diagrams. So we have Tom Sawyer Explorations here up and running, and we're going to take a look at the annotations feature. So before we add new annotations, let's just take a quick tour of Tom Sawyer Explorations. So we have here in our drawing view a piece of the data from the graph database. And over here on the right side, we have several panels. So you see here that we have our annotations, which have been added to this graph, which we have showing here in the annotations panel. We also have a style panel, details, so we can see the details of particular elements, many filters, which we'll see used today, and the ability to apply analysis. Then down here at the bottom of the screen, we have a way for you to interactively add table views to your exploration. So you as the user gets to pick how many tables do you have and which model elements and attributes are shown in the table. We also have a schema viewer available here in Explorations so that you can understand the data that you're looking at. And we'll take a deeper look at that here momentarily. But first, we're going to look at the annotations and how those work. So we are going to add a new annotation here to our graph. So we're going to zoom in here, and we have a company called Quick Stop. And we want to add a new we want to add a new annotation here. So we're going to right click, and we will see a new context menu, and we have the ability to add an annotation. So I'm going to click that, and then over here in the annotations panel, we can add the details. So this is a new customer. So we're going to add that here. New customer. And then we can say is a new customer week of this week. And we also get to categorize our annotation. So we can use one of the existing categories, or we can create a new one. So we're going to create a sales opportunity, and we can choose the color. And here in this case, we choose a green color. Okay, good. And then we will save. And so you can see here now that we have a new badge on that node, denoting that we do have an annotation. And you can see as we hover over the node, a tooltip also appears, which includes information and also shows the annotation. Now we also can add annotations through the panel as well. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So let's take the drawing view over here a little bit so you can see how this works. So we are going to press the Add Annotation button directly in the Annotations panel. And so you can see how we have these squares, which have appeared on each node and each edge. So we get to select, what is this annotation for? So we're going to add an annotation to the supplier node. So I'm going to check mark that. And then we'll go ahead and add the annotation itself. So we are going to annotate that this is a reliable supplier. So we'll create the name of the annotation. And we can say this supplier is consistent and delivers on time. Good. And then we can choose a category. Now, again, we can use one of the existing ones, but we need to create a new one for this because this is about supplier insights. So we'll create a new category, supplier insights. We can choose the color. You can see here we can choose a predefined color, or we can define the hex or RGB code for the color as well. And we are going to choose this color and click OK. And then you can see how the node's updated with that new annotation, showing that this is a reliable supplier. Okay, now you can also edit annotations. So let's zoom out. And we are going to choose this new customer annotation. And you see how when I click the annotation, the drawing view is synchronized and also zoomed into this particular element. So now what we're going to do here is we're going to add another node to this particular annotation. So how do we do that? We're going to choose Edit. And then you can see how these boxes appeared again on the nodes and the edges. And so I want to add this customer here as a new customer as well. So I will add the check mark. I don't need to update the text here. I am going to go ahead and click Save. And so now we can see that the annotation was edited so that we can add another element to it. We also have the ability to add additional annotations to an element that already has one. So let's go ahead and do that for this, this new customer here. And so we're going to right click and we're going to add an annotation. And here we want to say that this was a referral. This customer was a referral. And again, we have these existing categories where we can create a new one, but this is a customer insight. So we're going to go ahead and select customer insight, and automatically it brings over the correct color for our annotation. And we click Save. All right, so now let's zoom in here. And so we can see how the badge has updated on the node to show that we have multiple annotations on this particular element. And we can show in the panel as well that we have these particular annotations on that element. Okay, very good. All right, so we're going to zoom out. And so again, you can show the annotations that are only for the selected elements. And so we can do that also here and click, and it shows us those particular annotations. Or we can see all of them as we've done here. Okay. Now we have different ways to filter the annotations. So we can filter based on the creation or editing date of the annotation. We also can have an annotation to be resolved or unresolved. So we can show just unresolved annotations if we want. And we also can show just particular categories. So if we wanted to see only anomaly detections, we can do that here. And then we see only those particular annotations. Okay. And we will go ahead and show all of the annotations again. And we can do sorting. So we can sort, so we can show the oldest first. And so now we have the oldest annotation showing here at the top. And then we can do a search for a particular type of annotation. So we're going to search for the anomaly. Or the particular insight. And so we can select the certain search item that we're looking for. So we can narrow down which annotations are showing. All right. And then we have the ability to resolve particular annotations. So let's say with this particular uh, annotation that we have where we saw an unusual batch order, we can mark this as resolved here in the panel. Okay. So we've been talking about how to create the annotations and edit the annotations and then filter the annotations that we see in the annotations panel. But we actually can also use the annotations as part of a filter. So what is showing in the drawing view? So let's see that. So we're going to open our filtering panel here. And as we had in previous versions of Tom Sawyer Explorations, you can filter by particular element types. So if you want to take out the orders, you can do that. But with Explorations 1.3, we've also added where you can do filtering based on annotations. So if you want to see only the elements that have an annotation, we can deselect and we can focus in and just see that. If we want to see ones of a particular type of category, we can also select or deselect as we want to focus in. Very good. Now, you can add annotations to individual nodes or edges or groups of nodes and edges. You also can apply an annotation to a project as well. Okay, so how do you make an annotation for a project as a whole? So you right click in the canvas and you do an add annotation. So you'll see here we have a different icon here because this is an annotation on the project itself. So we can say project annotation. And this is an annotation about the project. And again, for the category, we can create a new one, project insights. And we can create a dark yellow or gold color. And then we have a save. So then we have the project annotation as a whole. So Tom Sawyer Perspectives also includes, or excuse me, Tom Sawyer Explorations also includes extensive documentation. So if you want to see more details, you can go to the documentation, study data, and then we have the adding an annotation of data with all of the details, most of which we just demonstrated here. Okay. So now we're going to talk about our support for Kuzu graph databases. And so we're going to create a new project and we're going to do an exploration on some Kuzu data. So first, a little bit about Kuzu. So Kuzu is a lightweight open source graph database with Cypher support. This embeddable database runs locally on desktops and mobile devices, and no server is required. So with the new Kuzu integration and explorations, you can analyze and visualize graph data while avoiding the complexity and cost of traditional commercial graph databases. And as you can see here, Kuzu is preparing for an enterprise edition, which will include a server version of their graph database. And they have a wait list. So you can go to kuzudb.com for more information. And at last month's webinar, Dr. Sema Salihoglu was our special guest, and he gave a very detailed overview of the Kuzu graph database and also the benefits of it. And so you can see the recording of that webinar on our YouTube channel. So we're going to start with a fresh project here in Tom Sawyer Explorations, and we're going to connect to a Kuzu data source. So I'm going to create the project name. And here is where we select our data source for our exploration. So of course, we're going to select Kuzu, and I'm going to give the connection details. And now it's going to extract on the fly the schema. So we here are seeing the structure of that Kuzu graph database here in the drawing, the visualization of the schema, and then also over here in our new tree view. So you can interactively see the model element types that we have and the attributes that you have for each one of those model element types. I can do an expand all, and you can see all of the elements that were just automatically extracted for us right in front of our eyes. No need to write code. Okay, so now we're going to focus in on this person attribute. And so right now, we're going to start with just loading one person element. I'm going to change this query limit to 1. And we've automatically loaded some data into our exploration. So now we're in our exploration view. And we're going to show some of our advanced node and edge styling, which is also available as part of Explorations 1.3. Okay, so let's update the styling. So here for person model element types, we're going to keep the type name on the first line. And then we're going to add the name. So I'm going to add some static text. This is new. You can add static text to your information that's showing in the node, in this case of all nodes of type person. And we are going to add the name. So you can see how the visualization updates right as I'm making the changes here in the styling. So we're going to add the first name and also the last name. So you can see how we have the combination of the static text plus the model element types. Okay. Now we're also going to add some more information. So we want to know the IP address. So I'll add the static text, and then we're going to show their IP location. And then we're going to add one more line about the browser that they use. So again, static text, and then the browser used. So you get to define exactly what it is that you want to show in your visualizations. Okay, so now we're going to add some more data to this visualization. So I'm going to select this node, and we're going to do a load neighbors. So we want to find out where this person has been posting. So we're going to change this any node. We're going to change this to post. And then we want to find out, well, where is that being posted? Which forum? So we're going to add an edge and node. And we're going to change this to forum. Okay, so we're looking at our load neighbors capability. So over here on the left side, we see all the available model element types, both node and edge types. Where did this come from? This came from that automatic schema extraction that we did when we started and opened this project. There is no need to write Cypher code. We create the visual graph pattern, and then Explorations takes care of everything else for us. So we are going to go ahead and click OK. And so it's brought in that data for us. Now let's go in and update the styling of these new node types. So we'll zoom in over here and we're going to show some more information. So now when we go back over here to style, you'll see that it's automatically populated with the new model element types that we now have in our drawing view. Okay, so let's go ahead and we're going to update forum, and we're going to have it say the title of the forum. So again, static text and the title. And you can see how the visualizations automatically update. Okay, and then we're going to repeat for post. And we're going to give the ID of the post. All right. Okay, now you also can update the styling of your edge, and we have new styling possibilities for that. So we're going to update the styling for the likes post type of edge. So we can define the text that shows, and we also can define the appearance. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to update the color to be green. And we're also going to make it a thicker line. And we can choose one of many styles of the edges. So we'll choose the dash line here. All right, so now let's go ahead and apply a new layout. So you can see our different visualizations here with the updated styling. And let's do a hierarchical layout. And we'll zoom in. So we can see the styling in place for what it is that we need to satisfy our stakeholders. Okay, so now while we're here, let's add an annotation. So I'm going to select the person node here for Albert Dijkstra. And we'll right click and do an add annotation. So this type of annotation is going to show that this is a top poster. This person is a frequent poster. And we're going to categorize this type. So of course, we're going to create a new category because of the fresh exploration. We don't have any categories defined yet. So we're going to have this as a poster insights. And we'll keep this blue color. Save, save. And you can see how the annotation has been added to the node. And also we have the annotations showing here in the annotations panel as well. All right. Okay, so we also have used Perspectives 13.3 to create Tom Sawyer Explorations. And with that, we've seen our performance improved for up to 25% on initial loading. And we've also seen improvements in circular layout with reduced edge crossings of up to 11% on average. So let's go take a look at circular layout. So you see here, I have my list of projects ready to go. And I'm able to load a project that I previously created with the circular layout. So we have an exploration here, and I can zoom in to the particular structures. Circular layout shows the natural groupings which exist in a structure. And so we had applied some clustering analysis there. So you can apply different layout styles to this structure. You can interactively apply different types of analysis, a clustering analysis or a centrality analysis. So let's apply the clustering analysis. So right here in front of our eyes, Explorations used a data-driven clustering based on the topology of the graph, or what is connected to what. And you can see how the colors of the nodes changed. And so each color represents that this part of the graph has a natural grouping in it. And over here in the analysis panel, you can see how many clusters were found with the analysis. And then we can also see what is in each particular cluster. So I can say, well, show me this cluster number 1, and I can click on that, and it will take us to that part of the drawing. We also can choose a particular element and say, take me to this one, and it will take you to that element in the drawing. All right. Also new in Tom Sawyer Explorations 1.3 is our support for multi-page printing. So let's see how that works. So we're going to come over here where we can export images or drawings or set up for our print. So let's go to our print setup. And over here, we can define how many pages do we want our drawing view to take. So let's go ahead and say that we want to have 4 pages, 2 columns and 2 rows. And let's see our print preview. And so we can see here that drawing view broken down into multiple pieces. So we can see a hard copy of very complex projects and not have to have everything on a single page. So again, we get to choose which part of the data do we want to explore, how do we want to style the data, what types of annotations and analysis do we want to apply, and how do we print it. So thank you for joining us today. We're very excited to introduce Tom Sawyer Explorations 1.3. We discussed annotations, how to make them, how to edit them, how to use them and filter them. We also talked about support for the Kuzu graph database. We took a look at our new schema tree view. We showed our improved circular layout and discussed multi-page printing. So contact us today at tomsawyer.com to find out more about Tom Sawyer Explorations or to start your free trial. And please feel free to reach out. We're glad to schedule a call with you and one of our graph and data visualization experts. We can help guide you to the best solution. We're also happy to discuss Tom Sawyer Perspectives, which is our flagship graph analysis and visualization technology platform, which we use to create Tom Sawyer Explorations.